Good afternoon and welcome back to Tamebay Live this afternoon. Today is Growth Day. We've been looking at growth all morning, so welcome back to the session now. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. Feel free at the end of this session to make use of the networking areas on the Totem platform, such as the coffee tables, and don't forget to visit our presenting partners showcases, where after this session, which is presented by Parcel Hub, go and have a look at the Parcel Hub showcase. You'll find out more information about them there and be able to connect with them. And we've got one other session this afternoon following this one, which is Tony from Ecomotors, an exciting session. So come back for it because it's the results of a Tamebay survey. So it's everything about you. But now I'm really looking forward to this session titled How to Make Your Customers Love You and turn into repeat buyers. It's all very well doing the hard work of gaining a buyer, but you want them to come back again. So delighted to be introducing James Hayes, who is the Director of Business Development at Parcel Hub, part of the Whistle Group. As Business Development Director at Parcel Hub, James has got a strong understanding of e-commerce, logistics and technology, and able to convey the concepts to commercial and technical audiences. And James has got a particular interest in improving the customer experience with the final mile delivery. So without further ado, welcome James, and welcome to Tamebay Live.
Thanks, Chris, and thank you very much for that introduction. Very kind of you. Good to be here. Masterclass by James Hayes. Interesting. Let's see how masterfully classy it is by the end. You be the judge. So I want to talk a bit about how you can turn your customers into people that love you and make them come back and spend some more money, and do that through with delivery. So a few things that I'm going to cover off are highlighted there. What customer businesses are investing in around customer experience, what I see day to day, and share some insights into what other businesses are doing. Perhaps you can take some learnings. A subject I'm really quite passionate about: how you can turn a delivery issue into a 5-star review, because you can. A failed delivery can still be a positive experience if you do it right. A few insights. We've got a white paper coming out fairly soon with partnership with Bright Pearl. We're going to share a few insights from there, from a consumer audience that we interviewed, and talk about a proactive versus a reactive customer service department. So moving on, what are retailers at the moment investing in around customer experience, and how are they using it as a key differentiator? So I've got a few examples. The huge organization that gets the headlines constantly is Gymshark. They've got to where they've got not through luck, through pure hard work, and their customer experience is key to their success. They've invested a lot of time and effort in understanding their customers. They engage with their customers. They've created this community, and that's not by luck. That's by effort, by contacting the customers post-purchase, making sure that they're happy with the product, encouraging them to come back to their website and buy more products. So that after-sales contact and process is excellent with Gymshark, but as one of the stats there says, only 22% of retailers are getting that right. And another cracking example of business that's getting it right is someone I came across recently called Patch Plants. They sell live plants online, and their after-sales experience is fantastic. You get the product, a week or two later, they'll get in touch with you and check that the plant that they've named Bob is doing okay, remind you to water him, remind you where he likes to be from a sun, how much water you need to give him, how much food. So they're engaging. The point is they're engaging with that consumer after that sale has happened. It's not just a transactional experience. And there are a lot of businesses that are purely transactional. They're acquiring customers, they're shifting volume product, not focusing on getting that customer to come back and spend some more money, which is a business model that works for a lot of businesses, but is it scalable? Is it going to be a business that in 5 years is triple, quadruple, 10x the size it was? Probably not, because they're not keeping the customers that they're gaining. They're just churning customers, buying new, shifting products, focusing on a transactional experience. So there's a huge gap there for businesses to improve this after sales process and improve the customer experience after the delivery and throughout delivery. And our customers are doing this already. Charles Bentley, as an example, have invested time, effort, and money in software and solutions that are allowing them to be better at customer service and be proactive. They've invested in software like Freshdesk. You may have heard of Zendesk, ReplyCo, Reply Manager, eDesk. There's platforms out there that will allow you to streamline your communications. And you should really think about doing this if you've got more than one sales channel, or you've got more than one person in your customer service team. So then you've got a single platform for all your website messages, your eBay, your Amazon messages, your emails in one solution, so that you're not tripping up over the inbox. I see this time and time again. A customer service team, they've got 4 people in, they've got 3 eBay shops, some Amazon shops, a couple of websites, and it's all been done through an inbox. And the feedback is generally poor with that type of setup, because they're missing messages. They're not reacting quickly to messages because there isn't the software there to allow them to be efficient with the time. So businesses are invested in those types of platforms. I think the businesses that didn't have that in during the pandemic will have felt a lot of pain when the volume went through the roof, customer service inquiries went through the roof, and anybody that's on this call that didn't have a type of platform that manages that messaging will have been in a lot of pain, I imagine. So when we talk about brand reputation, you can protect your brand reputation by being proactive, by caring about the customer after the sale point, after the delivery point. Invest some time in them, and then that they will be embraced into your brand, your business, and want to come back and buy from you again. And that's the aim of this. How can you stop being a transactional business? How can you use the tools that are there, the data that are there, and turn your business into one that is scalable, because you're getting customers to come back and spend more money from you? One of my favorite points, right? So I've been in parcels for 24 years, since 1997, and deliveries failed then, and deliveries fail now, and deliveries will fail in another 24 years. There is no getting away from it, but there are ways that you can turn that issue into a positive experience. And the scale of the problem is quite large. So Brightpearl and Trustpilot a couple of years back did a white paper and found that 3/4 of the negative reviews on Trustpilot were related to fulfillment and delivery. So the 1, 2, and the 3-star reviews were about something after the point of checkout. So the fulfillment or the delivery. So 3/4 of the bad press. So why don't we run at that problem? Why don't we try and turn that on its head and address that issue that will be affecting a lot of sellers that are hopefully on this call. So how can you do it? Well, use the data that's available to you. If you're using a tracked carrier, tracked delivery, the parcel has tracking events all the way through its journey. So in the depot with the driver, out for delivery, delivered, and then the worst ones, lost, damaged, misrouted, delayed, check address, bad address, can't find it, carded, failed delivery. So these are bits of data that are in real time that you could act on and turn a negative delivery experience into something that's positive. Example I use quite a lot is, well, there's 2. Let's say your customer has paid for a next day delivery on your website, or you've given them a next day because they've spent more than your threshold for next day delivery. So that person is expecting that delivery. Let's say that's today. So I'm waiting for the delivery. I've got the message to say that it's been shipped. Here's the tracking number. Great, I'm expecting it today. But then the driver can't find it. And there's an event that appears on the tracking as check address. So the chances are that that recipient doesn't know that there's been an issue with that delivery. And the chances are that the shipper doesn't know either, because they've not got anything to alert them to that event. So if you had software, I love this imagery that's in the bottom corner there of a parcel van chasing a yodel van. Effectively, you can do that type of thing, not physically, but with the data. So check address happened, that scan event occurs. Why not allow some bit of software to push that to a customer service team to investigate and verify what the issue is? So quite often with a check address, half of the time, roughly, it's the driver that can't actually find the location. It might be a new residential area, or the driver's not familiar with the area and he's on the wrong street. The postcode bridges 2 streets and he can't find it. And if he can't find it within a few seconds, he'll move on to the next delivery, because we've probably all got to know our delivery drivers quite well through the last year or so. Parcel delivery guys and ladies used to do about 80 to 100 parcels a day pre-pandemic. Now, double that, 200, sometimes 250 parcels per day they're having to deliver. So time is crucial for these guys. And if they can't find the address instantly, you're going to get a check address. And that means the delivery is not going to happen that day. So why not tell the customer? Why not get in touch with them and say, we've been monitoring the shipment because you paid for next day delivery. It's important to us that you get your parcel. We've shipped it on time. However, 10 minutes ago, half an hour ago, there was an issue, and sadly, the driver couldn't find you. We're terribly sorry about it, but we thought we'd better let you know so that you don't feel let down at the end of the day when it's not turned up. We've given you a 5% discount in your inbox, so next time you come and spend some money with us, you'll get a little bit of a discount. There's a bit of an apology. But we thought it'd be best to tell you in advance so you're not too let down, but we've been assured that the delivery will happen tomorrow. Oh, and hopefully, if that was quite a nice experience, would you mind leaving us some feedback to say, wow, they care, they contacted me, even though the delivery failed, they were on it and they fixed it, and what a wonderful experience. So you've turned that failed delivery into positive experience by being proactive and using the data that's available to you. You do the same with, parcel's been lost, it's been misrouted. Those tracking events are there, and they're there for you to use to your advantage. If you don't, that customer would have been let down. They may have rang the day after, a couple of days later. Then you're on the back foot, and your customer service team are having to check the tracking events, and they go, oh, sorry, yes, we couldn't find you a couple of days ago. The parcel's still in the depot. Nothing's been done about it. Or if they don't get in touch too soon, that parcel's being returned to you before you've had a chance to do anything. So then you're really on the back foot, and you're having to refund the customer, maybe do a resend, but you've probably lost them. They're not going to buy from you again because you've not delivered on the promise of next day delivery, and you've not done anything about it once the delivery failed. So there are unavoidable situations, and there always will be, but it's using that information to your advantage and making sure that the customer service team keeps the customer informed of any issues. And equally, any positives. When a parcel's been delivered, trigger message, you've got your parcel, we hope you like it, we hope you love it. Maybe here's some other products that go well with what you've bought. Hopefully we'll see you back at the website again. And that post-purchase experience can go such a long way in getting that consumer back to the website to buy another item, which is what we all want. Costs a lot of money to acquire a customer, Google AdWords, PPC, etc. And if you're losing them on the first attempt, you may not have made any money on that sale because of the cost of the acquisition. There's 2 examples there of the 2 reviews, one with 1,700 and one with 71,000 reviews. Now these are, I won't say the products, it might give the businesses away, but they sell the same stuff, literally the same product that they sell. The businesses started at a similar time. The one at the bottom is doing a wonderful job with post-purchase experience. They've only got 2% bad reviews. and 71,000 overall reviews. So you can see the number of sales that they've done is much greater than the business above. Again, started at the same sort of time. But the one above have not put software in place. They've not put good processes in place. They're very reactive, very disorganized, which is a shame, but it shows in the 12% or 13% bad reviews. And they're not scaling. They're struggling to keep staff, and they're struggling to grow with it because they're not keeping customers. Total flip of that on the below. They've invested the time in the customer experience, and they're doing the things that I've mentioned a moment ago, and they are selling so many more products than the business above. So it works. It really does work by being proactive and using that information that's available to you. As I say, parcel deliveries will always have a problem with them forever. That is the nature of parcel delivery, but accept that and work with the data to improve the experience. So what type of delivery problems are there? Well, there are many. Every driver can have a bad day, and it doesn't matter what courier they work for. Parcels can get damaged by mistake. And almost all of us will have had some form of bad delivery experience. Certainly with the amount of online ordering we've been doing recently. Half have had more than one delivery experience. Now, apparently only 1 in 20 orders fail, but when you're shifting volume, that 1 in 20 problem delivery could be 50 tickets a day, 100 messages a day into your customer service team chasing the shipments. So it can be a very noisy space. Now, the blame, interestingly, more often than not, will be put on the retailer, not the delivery provider. So it's your reputation that's up for damage should these deliveries not happen. Again, only 1 in 20, but when you get 3/4, remember 3/4 of bad reviews are about delivery. That 1 in 20 is a costly 1 of 20 that doesn't go right. So, there's a good diagram there to show you the types of delivery issues that do occur. The bad address is one of the biggest ones. And often it's, like I say, it's not always the address that's the issue. It could be the driver just couldn't find them and they didn't have the time to spend looking for that address. Customers not in, that's going to happen a lot more now. People are going back to work. So what do we do about that? Damaged items, they've moved. There's a lot of things that can happen with a delivery, but most of them can be dealt with. But it's the speed that's important. The quicker you act on the issue, the quicker you've got a better chance you've got of keeping that customer and giving them a better experience, as I say. Consumers are a demanding bunch, us buyers of product. And interestingly, again, this white paper we've got coming out with Brightpearl, I'll give you the information how to register shortly, but almost everybody expects post-purchase information. So that would be your parcels. Your order's been shipped, here's your tracking number, your order's out for delivery, your order's been delivered. That's the standard now. If you're not providing that type of information to your customers, you're really going to be given a bad experience, because almost everybody expects that now. That is the benchmark. Returns are key. You've got to have a really easy and clear returns process and policy. And the free delivery next day, a constant debate. But interestingly, almost half of consumers that we interviewed said that next day delivery would make them buy from that website. So if you don't have a next day delivery, it sounds simple, but a lot of businesses don't offer next day. You could be missing out on sales because you don't have that next day service available to you. So it's always worth getting all the delivery options available to your customers, whether you're charging them for it or giving it as free. The choice is key. Have a next day option, have an economy option. Because if you don't, 45% of the people that visit your website might not buy because they wanted a next day and you're not offering a next day. So some interesting stats there. I mentioned a moment ago about retention of staff. So in a customer service team, I'll use one example. They sell household products. They had about 8 people in customer service, and their retention of the customer service people was really, really poor. And because they hadn't got good process in place, they didn't have a communications management platform like a Zendesk or Freshdesk. So everything was on email. They were missing messages because there was 8 people managing the same inbox. They had multiple sales channels. It was a real mess. And their idea was to just throw more bums on seats. Bums on seats will fix the problem. It didn't. And for a long time, it took them to understand that investing in technology to allow the staff and the customer service team to be effective at their job was what they were missing. And WISMO, wonderful internal acronym for you, where is my order, can really overwhelm a customer service team. And the noisier your WISMO, which is the reactive stuff, it shows that your delivery experience is going to be poor. You're going to be giving customers a poor experience, and they're likely, again, not going to come back and buy more product from you. But this staff retention piece is really important. If you haven't got the right processes in place and you're having to constantly employ new customer service staff because they're all leaving because they're tired and sick of being shouted at and screamed at and had nasty messages by people that really wanted that product on that day because it was important to them for whatever reason, then not only are you losing your customers, again, you're going to be employing people constantly and losing staff. That bad example I gave you before, the 13% negative reviews, it was their review scores that I was showing, and they just couldn't get their head around why they were doing it. Eventually invested in the technology and they turned it around. It did take some time, but they managed to fix that problem. So a couple of tips. If you've got customers that have paid for next day delivery or an upgraded type of delivery, prioritize that. Put processes in place that you monitor those shipments, and if there are any issues on them, you jump on them quicker than you would on a normal shipment, because that's a priority customer. If they paid extra money for a delivery, when that delivery fails, that's a bigger problem than if it was a free delivery, because they've paid £5, they paid £8 for that delivery, you've let them down. They're going to be emotive about that because you've failed the promise. So prioritize those deliveries. Software is available to do that for you. And then be proactive and contact those recipients and tell them that there's been an issue with the order. I know you paid for next day. We're dreadfully sorry that it's not going to happen next day, but we'll give you a discount on the back of this not happening because we really value our customers. We want you to come back and buy from us again. It's a difficult industry, online selling. So being proactive not only will help you with your staff retention, it absolutely keeps customers, and it'll create less noise down the road. So if you spend 2 minutes making a proactive phone call to inform a customer that there's been an issue, but you've done something about it, that is much quicker than a 15-minute phone call several days later when the parcel's already been returned because nothing's been done about it. No one's acted on the delivery issue. So you've got a 15-minute phone call with a customer upset and complaining, probably going to leave some negative feedback. You're probably going to have to give a refund. And that parcel, by the time it gets back to you from the carrier, might not be in very good condition because it's been out in the delivery network for 1 or 2 weeks. So it's just pain by not doing a 2-minute phone call. So the proactive versus reactive is a no-brainer for me. If you can monitor your shipments on the day in real time, and that data's there, that data's available to you, because every parcel gets a scan unless you're using a second-class postage, and then use that data and embrace technology that will allow you to do something with that data. And in our view, that should be contacting the customer to tell them there's been an issue, but what you've done about that issue. And it gives you the chance to then ask for them to come back and leave positive feedback, buy more products, give a little discount. You're engaging with them. So that post-purchase experience is there. Quill, have you got a question for me?
Hi, James. I don't think we could hear you, but if you carry on, we'll take the questions at the end.
Right, cool. So that's my main sort of takeaway on proactive reactive. We onboarded a customer recently. They sell products through a drop shipping model. We've got 70 outlets that sell their products, and they sell online. And they moved into this proactive environment. And we were met with some resistance from the customer service team, because at first it felt like there was more work being put on them by having to make these phone calls and send these messages to customers to advise them of some issues that they've had. It took about 2 or 3 weeks for them to realize that those calls and that bit of work at the start made their life so much easier 2 or 3 weeks later, because the phone calls weren't coming in of people that were upset and emotive because they'd fixed it. They'd told them, the 2-minute phone call at the time of the problem. So all that noise that they were used to just started to disappear, because they were fixing the problem at the source of the problem on the day. So it can be a really powerful tool, and this make your customers love you, make them come back and buy more product. This is one of the tools. There's many ways to do it, but through delivery, this is, for me, a no-brainer. And you can really use the data, there's technology available, and accept that deliveries will fail. As I've said, they'll always fail. There'll always be issues. So accept that, but work with that data, get your technology in place so you're able to give a wonderful customer experience. There's nothing better than being able to tell a customer that you've let them down. Right, hear me out. You've let them down, but you've done something about it, and you value them as a customer. The reaction is great, because it's not done. Merchants don't often do this. It's very reactive, and that reactive experience often leads to loss of customer. So yeah, my view is proactive is definitely the way forward versus reactive. So there's a white paper coming out. Register your interest for it on that link there. We'd send it out to you once it's published in a few weeks. Just noticed a question coming in. Let me read that.
Yeah, so thanks so much for this, James. It's been fascinating. And I just wanted to go straight back to the beginning, where you mentioned one of my favourite customers, Charles Bentley. I didn't actually know that they used Parcel Hub.
Yeah.
But I know them well. I've actually I bought a kitchen pedal bin off eBay, and turned up it was from Charles Bentley. I didn't realise when I was making the purchase.
Yeah.
But Charles Bentley, a pretty large company, I know. For anyone that's interested, they're actually one of the oldest businesses in the country. They make brooms, and if you ever get a chance to go up to their factory, you can actually see the machines actually plugging the bristles into each broom. But they sell a lot of household and garden products as well. They've got 3 or 4 enormous warehouses. One of them is just set aside entirely for e-commerce and marketplaces. So they're a really big company. What I just wanted to know is, what sort of size company can Parcel Hub help? I mean, both on the small side and the large side. Where do you sit there?
We typically help merchants that are doing more than 50 parcels per day, but it's not a hard metric. We have got we've got warehouses up and down the country. So if the merchant happens to be near one of our locations, that volume minimum can come down. So yeah, it tends to be around the 50 per day starting point. But there isn't a ceiling on it. We've got customers that we collect thousands and thousands from each day. But the bread and butter customers, as you say, the majority of our customers are 50, 100, 150 parcels per day. But we do have quite a lot also that are lower than that, actually, to be honest, and they benefit from this type of solution. If you're only doing, or let's say you're shipping 20 parcels a day, one of those fails, that's a problem, because that's a 5% failure rate potentially. If you're doing 20 parcels, one of them fails, that's the problem. So this approach is relevant to every merchant, really, no matter the size.
Now, you mentioned a couple of really interesting companies, Gymshark and Patch Plant, and you were talking about how they follow up with their customers to get great reviews afterwards. And I've got to be honest, if you're one of those two companies, it's pretty easy to find something interesting to say about your product to follow up. But what advice have you got for companies which have maybe got more boring products? I mean, if I buy a light bulb or a USB cable and you follow up to say, how are you enjoying your light bulb? Or have you plugged your USB cable in? It's not really going to work. So what advice have you got for people with, I don't want to call them boring products, but more sort of run-of-the-mill mundane items that they're selling?
Well, I would think about what's the shelf life of that product? How long is it going to last potentially? And how often do people buy these things again? And automate your messaging based on when you expect them to maybe need another light bulb. If they're buying one light bulb, it's probably for the house and they've got lots of other light bulbs. So just use it as an opportunity to showcase your other products that you've got. Because they might have just gone in at that time for that light bulb because they needed it, or that USB stick. But they don't realize that you're selling, cups and mugs and lights and fittings and plugs and all the rest of it. So use it as an opportunity to check that the product that they bought works as they needed it to work. No matter how boring it is, they bought it for a reason. So does it do what you wanted it to do? Oh, by the way, we've got all this other stuff that we sell. Take a look.
Gotcha. So we've got a question coming about how do I know when my business is large enough to warrant investing in CX customer service software? And you mentioned a few suppliers, but I'd like to supplement that with another question, which is, obviously there's messaging solutions to help with the customer service element, but there's also companies like Parcel Hub to help with the shipping element. So can I run my business and can Parcel Hub do everything I need to manage my customer service to start with? Or is it essential I have some sort of messaging system as well? How do the two tie together? And when am I going to be large enough? How do I know when I'm large enough that I really need it?
So you can use Parcel Hub to do all of your Wizmo customer service. So
where is my orders?
Where is my order? So we act on behalf of our customers. And when there is a Wizmo issue, where is my order, we will proactively contact the recipient, but we act as the brand that shipped the parcel. So we do this for Charles Bentley. So we will contact the customer and say, this is the Charles Bentley tracking team. We've got an issue. We're trying to fix it. And we'll use that type of language that I was mentioning earlier, and we'll agree what we say and what we don't say with the merchant. So you can remove Wizmo entirely and we'll do it. Or we'll react, spot the issues, try and fix them. But if there's any customer contact needed, the sort of base level is that we tell our customer, the customer contacts their customer and then back to us. But they can give us entirely the keys to the vehicle almost, and we'll call the customer as the shipper. I guess it's not a question of how large do you need to be. Well, it's more of how large you want to be. If you want to be able to scale, you've got to have the solutions in place that allow you to do that. And as a business owner, if you're running your own e-commerce business and it's just you and you're buying the product, selling the product, shipping the product, packing the product, if you're having to do customer service as well, it's reducing your time to sell and buy. So I think try and remove some of these mundane tasks from the business, automate them, and it frees you up more time to do more selling. So it's not a question, I don't think, of being large enough. I think all businesses should be considering it to allow them to be efficient and be scalable.
Okay, just a reminder to everyone, if you do have any questions that you'd like answered, look immediately below the screen and you'll see the submit a question tab. It'll come straight through to myself and James. So let's get busy while we're here. But James, I also wanted to ask you about post-COVID fulfillment and delivery. I think, and I may be wrong, but I think it's fairly reasonable to say that, especially at the start of pandemic and lockdown, most people were just glad they could buy something and it would arrive sooner or later. And everyone was at home. Pretty much everything was shut. So unless you were something like a nurse or working for the fire brigade, you were probably at home, furloughed or working from home. Deliveries arrived, not a problem. But now people are starting to get back to work. The pubs are open. You can actually go inside a pub as of yesterday. People are going on holiday, and doesn't stop people ordering goods when they're on holiday and expecting them to be delivered, even though they're not there. So do you envisage a large uptick in the number of inquiries, or do you think is it more important to focus on solving problems, or is it offering delivery options and more convenience and maybe click and collect type solutions or parcel lockers, or should we just leave it to the couriers and cross their fingers they'll try again until it is delivered?
Well, that's not what you want to not do, that last point. Interesting what you're saying about everybody was at home and will get the products when they get the products. That wasn't our experience, actually. We saw a big increase in inbound inquiries from people wanting whatever they've bought during the pandemic. And so when you get that inbound inquiry, they're chasing the delivery because they want it sooner than potentially they were expecting it. So we saw a huge spike in people chasing delivery during the pandemic.
Was that from people expecting it just to arrive next day with no regard to the fact there was a pandemic, or was it because couriers, companies were using economy postage and weren't informing their clients? Where do you think that issue arose?
A flavour of everything. Some of it would have been merchants were struggling to keep up with demand and maybe not sending out on time, so they were behind dispatch day. Rather than being same day dispatch, they might have been slipping to a day or two because of the order volume. All the couriers got overwhelmed very quickly. Volume, like peak volume, Christmas volume out of nowhere with no planning, no preparation was a real challenge. But from moving forward, yes, I think there's actually going to be more delivery problems because people are going to be out more. So carded deliveries are going to happen a lot more. A lot of these are now digital. So the physical cards are not left by a lot of carriers now. So you don't get a prompter when you get home, it's digital. And if that's in your spam inbox, you might miss that. So a delivery, you've missed it, but the card will tell you what you need to do to get the redelivery. So they will be starting to be missed, I think. So more returns will happen because people aren't acting on those carded deliveries. So I think you was probably focused more on what's going to be happening with deliveries because, people are going to be out more. But order volume isn't dropping. The volume of parcels is still really high. We're not seeing a decrease really at all since the shops have opened. The volume is still high, so the carriers are still really busy. So mistakes are happening because everybody's so busy. So I would be quite cautious at the moment about the shipments that you're doing and give them a little bit more care and attention.
Now, moving on to the customer service side, our friends at eDesk are obviously presenting this week, but you mentioned a couple of others like Zendesk and ReplyCo. There's a fair few out there.
There are, yeah. What
should I be looking for, and how easy is it to integrate that kind of CX with what you guys can do on the Wizmo at Parcel Hub, and to make sure that when I've got a missing delivery and I go into my CX, how does the tracking number get in there? Can they all integrate with companies like Parcel Hub, or are there differences?
The main ones do. So we've got Freshdesk, Zendesk, eDesk, Reply Manager, Excelco, with the sort of 5 core ones that we integrate with. And from an integration point, what it basically means is ticket comes into that customer service portal, like one of the ones I mentioned, and you set up a bunch of keyword searches and automation. So when the word "where is my" or parcel or tracking or late or delivery, whenever those words appear in the message, we get the copy of the message automatically through our integration. So we can then respond to that query as the merchant. So the time to set that up is a matter of a couple of weeks, two to 3 weeks to complete the integration, do the setup, and do the configuration. But we don't have to do the full Wizmo. If it is a regular customer that we're just monitoring the shipments for and alerting them to issues, we would send a message to the customer service team's software platform with the tracking numbers, and then they can manage the communication. They can see the comms to us, comms to the consumer, maybe comes to another supplier, all related into the one ticket. So when, rather than an inbox flooded with messages and you can't keep up where you're at, these solutions allow you to see the full picture of every shipment and who's involved in it. So
I'm kind of liking the fact that you handle or can handle a lot of the Wismo inquiries. It sounds like it can free up my customer service team to actually focus on the stuff that can make me money, like servicing the customers with maybe technical queries about the product or pre-sales inquiries.
Exactly that. Yeah, the Wismo is one of the painful parts of customer service, especially if you are a reactive setup. And
is this something pretty unique to Parcel Hub, or
to my knowledge, yeah, we can't find anybody that does it like we do. It's you can monitor it manually. You can look through the tracking screen and look for issues, but it's software for us. Software's finding these problems and pushing them to people to investigate. So it becomes doable and scalable because the algorithms are doing the legwork, finding the issues, pushing it to us to investigate. So we don't think there's anybody that does it like we do with the software.
So I think in courier language, this is dealing with what couriers would call their exception report. An exception doesn't mean exceptional service. It's an exception as in it wasn't exceptional service, something's gone wrong. So if you're looking at your exception report and maybe a day or 2 days or 3 days after you get it, it's too late. And it sounds like Parcel Hub have got a pretty good solution for getting on top of that and taking that side of it of your back and communicating with the customers before it becomes a problem, and at least being proactive.
That's it, in real time. That's the key.
And on that, we've got a question. How does your pricing structure work, and what is the best way to find out more about Parcel Hub and set up a call? And I think I'll jump in on that one to start with and let you handle the first part of the question. The best way to find out more about Parcel Hub and set up a call at Tamebay Live is to go to the Parcel Hub showcase. There'll be some information you can download there, some videos, some documents, but there's also members of the team there. And you can set up a call right here and now in the next networking break. And just the same as you're watching a video now, you can actually have a video chat with a Parcel Hub rep. If they're not available because other people are speaking to them, you can send them a message, sign the Parcel Hub guest book, and they'll get back in touch with you. So there's plenty of ways to get in touch right here at Tamebay Live. But James, if this is being watched after Tamebay Live, how do they get in touch, and what's your pricing structure like?
Yeah, we'll get in touch through the website, the parcelhub.co.uk, the contact form there, or reach out to me, james.hayes@parcelhub.co.uk. Gladly send me an email. But in terms of how our pricing works, so we sell shipping rates to merchants. So you would buy a DHL parcel service or a Hermes or Yodel or whoever through Parcel Hub. So you would be buying your delivery rates through Parcel Hub.
I presume you got pretty hot delivery rates.
Yeah, that's
you're dealing with large companies like the Charles Bentleys of the world.
Exactly. So we reckon we'll handle potentially up to 100 million shipments this year in 2021. So that's a lot of volume that allows us to negotiate good rates with the carriers, but actually deliver benefit for the carriers, because we often do the first mile ourselves. We're not just a reseller, we're a consolidator, aggregator. Our vehicles are on the road collecting from customers and taking it downstream into the delivery provider's network. So that gives us, wholesale prices, if you like, for shipping. So the pricing works per parcel, just like it would if you're engaged directly with a carrier. And the software that we have that alerts you to issues comes part of every package that we have. So if you buy your shipping rates through us, you get the Parcel Hub software that will alert you to all these issues. If it's the outsourced solution where we would manage the customer service, the Wismo, where's my order, as the merchant, that's then priced separately on a per parcel basis. And depending on what you're shipping and who it's shipping it with, we negotiate a rate that would be less than it'll cost you to put a bum on seat internally. So it'll always be more economical than employing somebody to do it. Or it'll depend. If you're selling glass bulbs, and you're using a carrier and an economy service, that might be quite a high rate versus selling footwear through a premium carrier. So it depends on the mix of the products that you're selling.
Yeah, and I guess if you're selling glass baubles, and interesting enough, I bought some of eBay at Christmas, glass baubles for the Christmas tree, and they were superbly packed and arrived totally intact. So nice. Even with that, there really shouldn't be breakage issues if you're packing correctly. It really should be a case of something's gone wrong with the delivery. Either they're really busy, you were out, they couldn't find your address, and that's where help with the Wismo comes in.
That's it. But yeah, so if people are interested in prices, reach out to us. We'll ask a few questions about your profile, your location, what sort of stuff you ship, and then we will give you a parcel rates for next day and economy options, plus international, of course. We've not mentioned international. We ship globally, so it doesn't have to be UK.
So, James, we've only got a couple of minutes left, and I've got one question I've been dying to ask you, and actually turn the tables and put you on the spot for a change.
Go on.
So, you're the business development manager at Parcel Hub. So, effectively, you're like many of the merchants out there. You're responsible for going out and winning business, whereas they're responsible for going out there and selling products.
Yeah.
What's your own customer service like? Where do you and Parcel Hub really excel that makes retailers want to come to you?
When you meet our customer service team, you realise that they are so passionate about Wismo, where is my order? They're an incredible bunch of customer service agents that do an amazing job. It's the passion to get deliveries to happen. That often in a retailer's customer service team, Wismo is something to be avoided because it can be painful. Whereas our guys, they run at these problems, they run at the issue, they'll tackle the carrier, challenge the delivery providers when they need challenging, and almost increase the size of our retailer's customer service team by working alongside them. So it's just giving you extra resource that you don't really have to pay an awful lot of money for.
Yeah, and I have to say, I'm always in favour of if it's not my core competency, which is hopefully for online retailers and brands is sourcing or manufacturing product, selling the product, then if I can get someone like you to handle the awkward bits of the where is my order, what's gone wrong with my courier, I don't really want to do that. I want to be spending time building my business.
Absolutely, that's it.
So, James,
we take here's a stat for you. We take 3 months of training before we'll allow a customer service agent loose on the Wismo customer service team. So they go through a really lengthy training process.
So there's the reason for loving Parcel Hub, and that's why you're growing and successful.
Yep. So,
James, I really want to thank you for your time today. But just to remind everyone, we've got a networking break coming up. So make use of the networking areas, and by all means, go and visit some of the presenters' showcases, where you'll be able to make contact with them and find out more about their products and services. The platform will be open for an hour following the event for additional time for networking. But come back in 15 minutes' time at 2:35. We've got an exciting session coming up with Tony Kyberg, presenting the results of a survey of Tamebay readers. So the next session is all about you, your long-term e-commerce strategy, and presenting a how-to guide of how to grow. So all it remains for me to do is to thank you once again, James, for being
Pleasure.
Part of Tamebay Live and sharing your experience.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me. Cheers, Chris. Appreciate that.